All right. Hey guys, my name is Phillip Warrick and welcome to My First Deal, which ultimately led to millions. In this podcast, we explore the pivotal first deals in real estate and business that defined what type of investor that you are. Whether it was a first deal that inspired you the most or a challenging one for which you learned valuable lessons, each story is unique. We interview very successful investors, local real estate gurus, business moguls, authors, and celebrities from all over the world, providing inspiration and insight, whether you're a seasoned professional or you're just starting out. Today, we've got a very special guest, Edgar Salgado, also known as Edgar the Connector. He's a real estate entrepreneur and the host of his own podcast, Dream Start Own. Edgar is also one of the fellow investors in the Owners Club, a member here in Houston, Texas. And Edgar, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Phillip Warrick. Thank you so much. Love your intro. Thank you for shouting out the podcast, Dream Start On, and I'll be a guest on there pretty soon, hopefully.
Yes, sir. You're welcome, man. So, hey, yeah, let's start with like just a introduction of yourself to tell the audience a little bit more about you and what you do.
Okay, yeah. So Edgar the Connector, my name's in it. Connecting is one of the things I do. I have a good memory, so I tend to remember people, what they do, and people when they ask me, "Hey, do you know somebody?" and I'll be able to click and eventually get them connected. And learning from Pace Morby, shout out Pace, is using that ability to monetize it. So little by little, I've been getting more comfortable about it. I still have to listen to him say, "Closed mouths don't eat." So I get used to opening up and speaking and saying that. Um, I'm born and raised from Houston, Texas, and I've started my entrepreneur journey for real estate itself. I really started getting into it probably in 2023.
Okay.
Before that, I actually, since I was 18, I wanted to get into it. And actually, in '99, I did my first SubTo and house hack, but I didn't know, I didn't know those terminologies or knew that you could do it, like make a business out of it. My parents moved out and I told them I didn't want to move to where they were going. So I said, let me take over the mortgage. I'll rent out the rooms to pay for it, out of necessity. I wish I had started since then. I'd be on my way to multi millions.
That's awesome, man. That you beat me. My first sub two deal was December of 2003. So good job, man.
Appreciate you. I just wish I expanded on it. I've been an entrepreneur since I even knew what the word was. I started cutting grass when I was like 7 to make money to buy my own things. My parents got divorced when I was about 7, 8, and I never asked her for things. I still don't ask her for things, and I've done it myself. Sold candy in middle school, and just I mean, when consoles came out, I used to be a big gamer. I would buy multiple consoles and sell them so I could get mine for free, essentially, and just little by little been going at it. And then when I bought our first primary property in 2002, the idea was like live there for 4 years and then rent it out, do the conventional things, but life happens. We changed the way me and my wife wanted to do our business. She wanted to go back to school, and life happens, and I didn't take action. Is one of the things is if you're listening to this, take action. Don't sit there and try to learn. Take action, jump into it, ask somebody how you can do something with them, and you're going to learn there more than you are watching hundreds of hours of YouTube University.
Yeah, buddy. That's awesome. That's great, great context. And so let's talk a little bit more about that first deal, the first deal that you did in real estate and kind of like break down a little bit about what that experience taught you.
Yeah, definitely. So after 20 years is what took us before we finally moved out and made our primary a rental. Everybody thinks if before YouTube was a big thing, get properties, rent them out, and you'll make fortunes that way because most of the millionaires have made their money through real estate. We finally put it to rent out, and then for 2 years it was renting. We were still cash flowing about 600 a month, but after 2 years, just little repairs here and there. Even though we basically refurbed the house, we basically broke even. And then towards that second year, so this is probably 2022, I had been learning about Pace Morby and SubTo. Saw him on a podcast that he wasn't even a guest. He was like a friend of a guest. And I learned about SubTo. I was in another community. I didn't want to pay for SubTo. So I said, how can I get into this without paying for it. I jumped into the free group, and then I said, you know what? I'm gonna sell my townhouse to a sub 2 student so I can get the contract, the title company servicing. I'll make more money than I would on the market. I can't Airbnb it. I can't uh, rent by the room. I didn't even know rent by the room really by then. And I did that, and I learned. I got the connections. Then 9 months later, I picked up a property sub 2 that I turned into sober living.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's funny because you talked about SubTo, right? And Pace Morby, he's a huge influence for the whole industry, not just SubTo. And I feel like a lot of times people think and they have this misperceived conception that it's only about subject to deals. You know what I mean? So there's so much more in that community than SubTo. So what have you learned since that first deal, by being in this community? And obviously you went from just getting the contracts from somebody else to getting into the SubTo community, right?
Yeah, definitely. First, I joined Gator to just be a part of the community. But even then, that's still limited compared to what you can get with the actual sub 2 because that community is so much larger. And then went to Squad Up Summit, and he had Owners Club and the offer for that and what he's been able to do for the plant guy. And I was like, I'm nowhere near in that hole. I should be able to just go up by having more access to Pace's team and learning so much more. So then after Owners Club, I finally got into sub 2 and just meeting people, networking, and telling them about the vision, being pushed into our goals by Pace. And yeah, the community having just so many different things to do, like you mentioned, is not just sub 2, is business buying, RVs, single family, lease options, so many things to learn that it's hard to try to focus on one thing. And I love doing, I learned something. I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. And that's the most difficult part about me is trying to focus on just a couple of pillars instead of everything that comes into my vicinity.
Yeah, it's people think it's the shiny object syndrome, but it's really not, right? It's like just becoming a transaction engineer. Like no one, each deal that gets in front of us, there's a different solution for it, right? And so you end up doing a lot of things. You mentioned sober living, and a lot of people probably aren't familiar with that. So what's that about?
Yeah, sober living, that's a property we have that houses individuals that have gone through um they're basically have a disability of addiction, drugs, alcohol, and they've gone through recovery center, they've been sober for 30 days, 90 days, and then our operators, they vet them and they bring them into the house and they do get them on their feet. This one's Bible based, so they get them settled and something to focus on, and then they help them find jobs and they stay there until they need to. We've had a guy there for a year and a half and he's doing well, but he loves the atmosphere and just decides to stay there. And we rent by the room. We actually rent by the bed. Picked it, and or I'd have to move into it because Pat split Airbnb. That's not allowed. And now that I've been into it, I see the WhatsApp group that they have and how they do the chores and how grateful they are and how they pick each other up when they're down. And it just gives me such a good feeling. I really want to expand that.
Okay, okay. How many beds do you have in yours?
This one we have 11. We have room
11.
for more, but we don't want to do too many more because then you start getting too many personalities and too many
Yeah.
conflicts.
So how many bedrooms?
This one, originally the house was 5'4", but the people that lived there before were 9. They had 9 kids, so it was 11 of them. So it's 7 bedrooms, 4 baths. They converted
Wow.
a dining room and they converted a game room. The game room's huge, that fits like 3 beds. The master bedroom's huge, can fit 3 beds. I think we only have 2 max in each of the rooms, and a lot of them are solo rooms.
Okay. And where's that house?
Pasadena, Texas.
Pasadena.
Yeah.
Wow. Pasadena, Texas. 7 bedroom, 4 bath.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
awesome.
nice neighborhood. It said if I couldn't make it work that way, I would move into it. And it's
Really?
a really large house, 3,700 square feet.
Oh, wow. Is that a normal size house for that neighborhood?
Yeah, that neighborhood is.
Okay. So what subdivision is it in? I'm in Pasadena, so
Um, I
my office
forget,
is.
but it's right behind that big church on Fairmont and Center, next to
Okay.
that park where they just built that big bridge.
Okay. That's Fairmont Park East,
Yeah.
right? Fairmont Park East. Interesting. Okay. Cool. And the HOA doesn't have like restrictions against doing that?
They
Or
can, but because they are protected class, it's still considered a single family from the Department of Justice, the governor. We actually had a town hall because they sent us to fire marshal. We don't know if it was a member that was salty that was asked to leave the house because he was stirring the pot, or if it was HOA. But the fire marshal showed up, talked to one of the guys, thought we were a boarding house, and said we had 72 hours to install sprinkler systems or shut down. So I reached out to some advocates that had the same issue in Sugarland, but they already had all the letters, so they just copied and paste, replaced Sugarland with Baytown. I'm sorry, Pasadena, and we went to town hall, had a good meeting. 80 by the time we were done, 80% of the residents in the area were cool with it. 20% were still upset about it, but everybody, you can't make everybody happy.
right on, right on. I love it, man. Like putting purpose behind the profit, right? Obviously, with 11 heads and beds, like you're probably making a pretty good profit in a neighborhood where it was probably not sufficient to do sub to and get a profit like with a long-term tenant, right? So
Right.
do you know the breakdown of the numbers a little bit, like what your cash flow is and stuff?
Yeah. So if we had done a long-term rental, we would have been losing probably about 400 a month. I think the rents can get about 20 to 800, and the mortgage it's a high interest rate, but the interest was so low. It was 32. It's come down to about 3,000 now. And then each single bedroom's 800 a month, and each shared room is 650 per bed. So I think total there's room to do about 7,000 a month gross. But there's still the utilities. Like this bill for this last month was $700 for utilities just because there's 11 people with light and two AC units. And then
It's July, and that's a big house, man. So it's going to be.
yeah.
Oh,
So, and a lot of it gets reinvested to the house to get some people some clothes when they come in the first time, any repairs, and then we furnish the house. So yeah, I think about 7,000. And then there are some the operators, they have such big hearts that a lot of times they don't charge. They don't get their fee from the service members for the first month. So sometimes they're too lenient on them, and then at a month they leave, and so there's a lot of months that they don't get the full amount. They'll have like 3 or 4 people not pay. So there's a lot of turnover on it. They are getting better at it. They're getting some more mentorship training from other people that are doing it to be better and more consistent on the income.
yeah, yeah. So you answered my next question because I was going to ask you, like, what's the vacancy rate like with that turnover? I know you said some people stick for a little while, right?
Yeah, we've had a few people that have been there for a while, but yeah, people move on. I like it when they move on for a good reason. They're one became a coach, so he moved closer to become a recovery coach to his job now. Some other people moved back with their family because they've been sober for a year now. So it's good seeing that. You see their coins. They after a month, 2 months, 6 months, 9 months, and then they get praised, and they have Bible study every Friday night. So it's really nice to see those messages on there.
That's great. That's awesome, man. Congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you,
I
thank
love
you.
it. Like putting that, like I said, like putting purpose behind it. It's great. So since joining Sub Two, like you said, you went through Gator, and then you're part of Owners Club now. So what would you
Yeah,
say separates your mindset today from the mindset that you had, before that first deal being an Owners Club?
Owners Club, man. Just don't limit yourself. Really, it's and then whatever goals you have. If you're networking, making acquaintances, friends, your goals can easily expand 10x. Uh, then just continue talking to people that have done it. I mean, Philip, you've done so many deals already. So I'm joining in, hopping in this podcast to get to know you better, to work with you more, to learn from you, to follow in your footsteps in some things, and just being in rooms with people that are doing amazing things like yourself. And Doran's got that 30 million property that they did at the hotel. Just being able to talk to people like that, see what they're doing, and just opening up that mindset. And then Pace just sharing so much with us from what he's learning from his mentorships that he's in. It's just like my limits are being removed. Those barriers are being removed.
Yeah, I love it. You mentioned earlier like something to the tune of like, yeah, I could have learned from YouTube University, and and all these things, right? But I'm a true believer in like we learn from doing the business, right? We got to make it messy. We can sit through all the seminars that we want to and all the YouTube videos and read all the books, but man, you don't really start learning until you start doing the business, right? You can learn as much as you want, but until you get into the weeds and actually do it, that's where you're going to really learn and remember, right? And most of the first deals, come with unexpected challenges, obviously, right? Funding challenges, contractor challenges, the mindset, right? Just fear in your own head that bounces around all of our heads. Like, honestly, every single deal I do, and you mentioned it, man, I've been doing deals for over 20 years, 23 years, full time. We've done hundreds of deals, hundreds of SubTo deals, but that fear is still there, literally on every single deal that we do, right? And so what's a story that you could share that like maybe nearly stopped you on your first deal, or how did you push through some of these, setbacks, challenges, and fears yourself?
Yeah, definitely. That sober living, that first SubTo I picked up, the mortgage rate being high. I Before I bought the house, I reached out to some operators, and this operator was talking the talk. He's like the Michael Jordan of operators. And he says, "Yeah, I can make it work. Just go ahead and lock it up." So I was like, "Okay." So I locked it up, and he started doing what he's supposed to do. He got two members in the house, I think three for a little bit, one stayed for a good bit, and then he ghosted me. Just stopped answering my calls, stop. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So I had to start reaching out to people and find out how I could find an operator for it. And luckily I did find two more to take over the house. We're so happy to do it. And if I had just given up there, or just, had that one bad taste, say everybody's like that, that's just gonna ruin you. No, you're gonna learn from it. Learn that you have to vet people more and show that they've actually doing what they're saying. But when you're doing your first deal, you get so excited about things. You're gonna, it's okay this, it's okay that. So it was your first deal, just try to take the time to really look into it and not just say it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. But I mean, at the end, it is right. You do take the action, because if you fell, you fell forward.
Love that. And I saw that on your YouTube channel too. And it's almost like, fail forward fast. Like the mistakes we make are the ones that we're going to learn from the most. And you're either going to learn some or you're going to earn some, right? But either way, you're going to win, right? It's part of it. But having that mindset to know that, what, I can recover from whatever, right? So just take an action. Love how you're doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I love the way Pace says that too, about just failing so many times will get you faster ahead than waiting and try to put all the dots together, put all the puzzle pieces together, and then taking action.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people getting into the business, right? They overthink everything. And I've, I had a mentor a long time ago that they used to say, there is no such thing as a perfect deal. There's no perfect deal. Every deal has its own differences and things. Now we're going to be educated as much as we can and look for a great deal, but there's risk involved. Every deal comes with its own level of risk, right? But, I kind of wonder too for you, like, what if you had to start over again? What would you do differently today? Or, would you do it the same way that you did it before?
No, definitely good question is to find people to partner up with. I did that first one by myself, and I mean, it could probably have gone a lot better and could probably be making a lot more. But yeah, find somebody that's doing it, reach out to them and see how you can work with them. That's one of the things with my podcast. I ask my guests is, how can somebody work with you? So people that want to start can reach out to them, and then they can hear all the different stories and say, "Hey, I vibe more with this person, and this is how I can work with them. This is what I can offer them. This is what they need." They're telling you what they need, what you can do for them. So being able to do that and just have that shortcut will easily make your scaling faster, your progress faster.
Okay, let's break that down a little bit because I think a lot of people, me included, like I've been basically a lone ranger, my wife and I, for 20 plus years. And it wasn't until the past few years where we started opening up our business to other people who want to get into the business and being open to, doing partnership deals and joint venture deals with other people, which has really, helped us do a lot more volume than we did before. But I think the misperceived conception with people is like they have to do it themselves, right? Because there's like a scarcity of deals or scarcity of opportunities. I'm not going to make as much if I'm sharing the profits with other people. So let's break that down a little bit, man. How does that look to you as far as doing joint ventures and sharing in the profits?
It's helped me get into a lot more opportunities than I would be able to do by myself, because you're limited with what you can learn, you're limited with what you know, you're limited with the connections that you have. Reaching out to people, like I recently did a podcast with the Get Creative, so Pace Morby's podcast, but I was with Justin Tumanowski because I did one deal. I partnered up with Lever, shout out Houston SubTo Owners Club. We partnered up with his deal on a fourplex. And then because of communication with another guy, Matei Chalbegan, he referred me to a Morby Method lender, stack lender person. So Josh Smith, and then his partner, Chelsea. These are all SubTo members. Most of them are also in Owners Club, and we were able to close on the fourplex, get money back. And now I'm owner with the fourplex with Lever, something that I probably wouldn't have done by myself. I would have never found that deal because I'm not looking in that area, but it's cash flowing. Adam Colburn, I partnered up with him. I own a sober living property in Knoxville, Tennessee. I've never been to that area, but I've been able to basically double the people that I'm working with, as in sober living wise, the people that I'm helping that way by partnering up with him and spending a fraction of the time and money that I would have done it by myself. Shout out to Brenda Villafranco. She helps me get all my Gator deals. I lend money with her and get returns, and she does most of the vetting. And I just verify the stuff, but she does 80% of that work. I just provide the funds that I have available at that time. And I mean, I tried doing Gator a couple months before I met her by myself, and it was difficult trying to do all the underwriting and what you need to do and what you're not. They've already done it. They have the experience. You don't have to go and do research on it. So that helps out so much more.
Love it, love it. I'll have to get connected with some of your people. I know a lot of the people whose names that you mentioned just now, and I'm actually helping Adam right now with a couple of deals in San Antonio, which is cool to be able to, give back and see if we can, help him with those deals. And so, love to learn more about, how you partner, what each person brings to the table, and kind of how that's all split up, right? So, um, just curious, how did that first deal specifically lead to your next opportunities, right? And then eventually to basically where you're at now.
So my first deal when I sold my townhouse, just being able to get into the community, having the servicing company. So now when I did a SubTo deal, I knew which servicing company to go to because I've already been dealing with them. They've been paying me on time, and I know that they're trustworthy. The paperwork, the transaction, all that was great. Now title companies, instead of me calling looking for title companies that will do SubTo deals, I have that access. So when I started talking to people in the community and people would ask, hey, who did you use? I can say, hey, I've used them. So then people are thankful that you're able to help them out. They reach out to try to help you in return. And it all just compounds and it builds up, and you make friends, you make acquaintances. Um, and you by taking action, you see what's possible, and then you get that proof of concept, which just opens up your mind, opens up the doors, and just has the flow going on out to be able to move along faster.
Yeah. And you mentioned title companies, and I had one of my students actually reach out to me yesterday, and it's surprising that she even asked the question, but it's like, hey, do we have to close at a title company? And, asking these types of questions. And I'm like, you know what? Like 99% of the deals that I do, I close at a title company, right? I didn't mention the 1%, just kind of left that at that. It's safer to close at a title company. But you're right. A lot of people ask that question because they don't know which title companies will actually close it. And, I've been working with Shay Johnson out of League City. She's at Capital Title, and she's very, very good with all the creative finance and SubTos, disclosures, and her whole team over there are amazing, right? I don't know if you've come across Shay yet, but great resource for you and anybody else listening, for a title company for SubTo deals.
I believe so. She's been, I think, quite some of the meetups. So yeah, she's a
Yeah.
sponsor as well for some meetups. Yeah, she's a very nice person. I haven't done a deal there yet, but definitely if I need one, I'll look into
Yeah,
her.
definitely, man. I'm happy to make the introduction, and I think potentially we could be doing some deals together. And so, stay tuned.
Potentially, we're gonna figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, buddy. So, I got a question for you, in probably the last question as we kind of wrap it up. But what advice would you give somebody that's listening right now? Maybe they've got one deal, or maybe they haven't even done a deal yet. But what's your advice that you would give them? And, especially somebody that would eventually like to join something like Owners Club, and, spoiler alert, Owners Club is closed. You can't even join, but, getting into Gator, the SubTo community, is the first best step, right? Honestly, to get into something like that. So what advice would you give somebody that's just kind of starting out?
Yeah, one, figure out what it is that you like doing. Don't just try to force yourself on something that is going to make money, because you'll easily get burnt out with that and you're not going to want to do it again. If it's something you enjoy, you'll spend more time doing it. You're going to do it better and your time's going to move faster. They say time flies when you're having fun. So find what it is that you like doing. If it's being in the background doing spreadsheets, people can use that. If you just want to be an assistant for somebody that gives you directions and you know what to do from there, there's positions for that. If you can close, call people up, cold call, there's positions for everything. Figure out what it is you like, and then find people like Phillip that need people to help them out with their business. I'm always looking for help as well. I have an underwriter now. We need help with dispo. I have bird dogs that come to me. Bird dogs are people that find deals and send them to buyers like ourselves to buy deals, and then from there you can learn the process. If you don't have time, you have money, you can invest, but find what it is that you like and stick with that so you don't get burned out and be like, oh, I don't like doing this. This is annoying, and then want to get pushed away from it. There's so many different ways to win in real estate that you should be able to find a way that you enjoy that's going to help you grow.
Love it, man. That's great advice. That was perfect way to end it. So, Edgar, what is the best way for our listeners to connect with you after the show?
Yeah, thank you for that. Edgar the Connector. You can Google me and it'll take you wherever I'm at, my website, YouTube, Instagram. There you can find ways to contact me, to send me messages, find out what tools I'm using, find out my podcast. And if you want to join the SubTo community, Phillip or myself have an affiliate link. You can click on it and join and be part of this wonderful Go-Giving network.
Perfect, man. Love it. And that's a wrap, guy, for today's show. A huge thank you to Edgar the Connector for joining us and sharing his invaluable insights. If you're intrigued by my journey to my first real estate deal, or you want to see extra footage from our interviews with other incredible guests like Edgar, be sure to check out the link in the comments. So make sure when you do that, just click and leave your thoughts, right? Additionally, if you're looking for funding for your deals, or you have deals and capital that you'd like us to consider, or if you're interested in seeing what we do firsthand at my office, all the information you need will be down below in the link. So if you know that who'd be and also if you know who would be a fantastic guest for my podcast or for Edgar's podcast, please reach out. Introductions are always welcome. And please do us a huge favor, like and share the podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. It makes a big difference. Your reviews are especially appreciated, and they help us to reach more aspiring investors. We'll be back soon with more insights and stories on your first real estate deal on the way to millions. This is Phillip signing off. Edgar, thanks again for being here. Thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.